from Studio A at 1 Biloxi Square in Fort Worth, Texas. Welcome in, everyone, to the Grandpa-N-Pappy Show as we kick off another week together, and we hope that you had a great weekend and that everybody is safe.
Yeah.
And back with us this morning.
Yeah, welcome aboard. Happy Monday to you and yours.
It was a very busy weekend for a lot of folks. Our great president was taken to Walter Reed Army Medical Center on Friday.
Yeah.
He was diagnosed, you may recall, last Wednesday with the coronavirus and started showing some decline. So they didn't take any chances, took him out to Walter Reed. He is doing very well.
Him and the Divine Missus as well.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And they say that he has progressed so nicely he may be able to go back to the White House today and out of the hospital. And we certainly do hope our president is okay.
Yes, indeed.
And watch your nasty comments out there, some of you.
Oh, man, there's some cold-hearted folks out there.
There really are. There really are.
Yeah.
We had a great weekend yesterday. I mean, well, Saturday. This is one of those rare weekends, Pappy, where we didn't have to work real estate. So we went and watched college football Saturday.
Yeah.
Which the tears have finally dried up.
How
My
about them
Longhorns
horn
lost.
frogs, by
Yeah,
God?
congratulations to TCU.
Yeah.
And Texas, you need to get your caca pasa together. But anyway, that's just my thought. And then Sunday, we had a little fun.
Yeah.
The Divine Special K over there and we went out on Lake Worth with some good friends of ours. They had a flotilla of boats.
Flotilla.
Yeah.
Sounds like a monster. Like a sea,
Well, that's what they call
like
it.
a sea monster.
And it was all for a Trump rally out there, and there was a lot of boats out there,
Yeah.
and a ton of people on the banks and on their docks out there. So it was a lot of fun, as you can see from the pictures behind us. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And hopefully some of those pictures will get back to our president and make him feel a little better.
I had a little different weekend myself.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I worked.
That is different. Hey, we got to...
I'm about as so as a prostitute after nickel night today.
I love it. Another pappyism. Go ahead and write it down in your little book there.
Hitch and get along.
That's it.
Yeah.
We got a pretty good show today. It's just simply called Kids, Cars, and Votes.
That's right. A three-segger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we ask you, some of you, to send us in some funny things about your kids and things you had to face. And as usual, you've come through. And we'd like to read some of these because some of them are funny. Let me ask you, Pappy, what's the funniest thing you ever saw your kids do?
Oh, good Lord. Well, you know all three of my boys.
I do.
They all make me look sane half the time. But if I had to single one thing out, it'd be back when my youngest was... I'd gone and picked him and Jordan up, he and my middle son up. I was living in North Houston at the time, and they were down south in Angleton, and picked him up, and about 15 minutes into the ride home, Jonathan decided he needed to go to the bathroom. He said, "Dad, you need to stop. I really need to go." And why this is so funny, Jordan and I to this day still laugh till we, bring tears. He got out of the truck. He got out of the truck, and you've heard me use the term the green apple two-step.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's what he was doing. Which stopped at a Whataburger. Just the visual of that cracked us the hell up. But I mean, there's more fun. I've had a lot of times. I've partied with my boys since they're grown men now, and there's just too many memories to even think about.
That's terrific.
Especially with Jason, my eldest. That boy's a character.
That's terrific. Let's take a look at some that you have sent in for us.
Yeah.
Deborah Brousseau Folio says, it's funny trying to hide your reaction when your child is correcting their child. It's hard.
Yeah.
Her daughter was looking for the word sorry in this situation once. She asked her son, "What comes at the end of that sentence?" The son's response was simple when he said, "A period." I almost passed out from holding the laughter, and tears were rolling down my face. Her daughter's lips were twitching also.
And I can't
didn't get that sorry either.
That's right, a period. Yeah. And I can't wait till Natalie, my granddaughter, gets old enough to start coming back with some of those responses. Ann Griffith says, when all our rowdy kids and grandkids who are mostly grown are here for food, alcoholic beverages, and game night, in that calm time right after they left, Grandpa says, that was fun. We should do it again next year.
Not next weekend, but next year.
Yeah. Too much fun.
Jimmy Norris said it's when his boys, ages 5 and 7, are arguing with one another. They will argue with each other till they get tired of it and then stop. But it doesn't stop there. The other day they were going at one another for 10 minutes and suddenly stopped. The 7-year-old laid on the couch and took a nap while the 5-year-old went to the bathroom. He got a tube of toothpaste and proceeded to empty the tube on Big Brother's head.
Okay.
His head. I was laughing so hard I didn't get over there fast enough to stop him from doing it. Needless to say, Big Brother was not happy, and I did have a talk with my youngest about manners, but I was trying not to laugh while I was talking to him. I can only imagine.
I came from a family, got a younger sister and 2 older brothers, and I learned real quick, don't prank on your older brothers.
Well, I'll tell you what, the thing that I remember very vividly after Karen and I married, we have a blended family.
Yeah.
And her youngest, I believe, was 3.
Which instance are you?
I'm talking about we were living with in Tyler after we got married, and we were living in that house with the patio on the back, and I had fixed hamburgers. And Crystal had been taking Christopher, who at that time was just a little bitty toddler guy, and the youngest kept taking his toys away from him and just making him so mad he couldn't even see. So we're out there and we're having hamburgers, and I kept watching Christopher, and Christopher kept looking over at Crystal, and all of a sudden got his glass of tea and just poured it over her head. Yes, I do remember that, and you should too.
I must have been inside cooking or something, because
yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, you should, because you talked to her about not stealing his toys anymore. Yes, you did.
But I do remember my oldest daughter when she was 4 and Crystal was about 2.5. My oldest one, Lindsay, she was at the age of 4, into hair and makeup. She's and still is to this day. She took a pair of scissors to her sister's hair and cut it down to the skin. So she had long hair on the sides and baldness down the middle. And I remember her daddy getting so upset. I thought it was funny later. Wasn't funny at the time, but funny later.
I'd have had a yuck over that.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Brian Emberton said, here's a funny little story. I was driving my kids to school one day, and I had Hank Williams Sr. on the speakers.
George.
By God. I could hear moaning coming from the back seat, and I turned down the music and asked what was wrong. They said, could you please turn on some country music? This stuff is horrible. I almost ran into a light pole from the damn shock. I guess I have failed as a parent.
I understand, Brian. Trust me.
You know, you try to raise a bright Brian, and that's a gratitude they show.
Ain't it so?
Did a little moaning of their own.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How funny.
Sandy Layla Armistead said her funny moment came while potty training her daughter. We're in the front yard. She goes to the side of the house, and I followed. She got her panties down and squatting, and I panicked. I tell her to go to the toilet, and she looks me dead in the eyes and says, "But Mom, why? The dog gets to poop outside."
I would share a story about Helen and I, but I'm afraid it'd get back to the management team of the trailer hood and I'd get evicted. So. Sandy Layla Armistead said her funny moment.
Oh, I just did that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, that was so funny. I want to say it again.
Well, she did share another story with us.
Okay, Sandy also told us about her son, saying her 9th grade son has a math exam. He doesn't answer any of the question, turns it in. The next day, the teacher hands it back and tells him to at least make an attempt. At the end of the class, he turned it in. He wrote an attempt across the top of the paper.
How do you overcome that one? That's what I want to know.
That sounds like something I'd have done in history class.
Kids, I tell you what. Barbara Whiteside Conley says, I can tell you my Mother of the Year story. My daughter is 4 and my son is 1. It's been a long day and had attended a birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. It was time to go, and it was pouring rain. I had 2 small children to get across a parking lot in the rain and into my little Mazda truck. The car seat is on the passenger side, and oh no, no umbrella. I tell my daughter to run as fast as she can, and we ran up to the truck. I stood the baby boy in the back, hurried to strap the girl in the middle, and hopped in to start the truck. My daughter says, I want to ride in the back with the baby. There was my rain-drenched little baby standing up in the back of the truck, just standing there. I must have said I'm sorry about 1.5 million times in less than 2 minutes while I scooped him up and strapped him into the car seat. I was sure it would scar him forever. St. Peter will definitely remind me of this when I get to the pearly gates.
That baby was probably digging the hell out of that. Oh, wee.
Well, yeah. Hey, where's the soap? I don't have to wait till Saturday night. But we appreciate you guys sharing some of the funny moments with your children.
Good stuff.
It is good stuff. And Art Linkletter, who was back on...
Kids say the darndest thing.
That's exactly right. You know exactly. I did too. And it would just wear me out.
Yeah.
I mean, my sides were hurting so bad because you never know what kids are going to say and when they're going to say it.
Good stuff. I pulled the old shaving cream and a feather tickle thing on both my brothers because they'd been out drinking. They were both in high school at the time.
Oh, yeah?
I got rewarded properly for that. This is when we lived in Lubbock. We raised Great Danes, and it was about close to Christmas time. A little bit brisk outside. Well, we had like 5, 6 Danes out in the backyard that kept the dirt fertilized. They tied me up with Christmas ribbon and rolled me in dog doo-doo for about 5 minutes.
Well, them paybacks are heck, aren't they?
Dude, that's what I meant earlier. You don't prank on older brothers. It'll always bite you in the booty, I guarantee you.
We also ask you to tell us what your all-time favorite car was or is.
What was yours?
Mine was simple. I always wanted a 1969 Chevelle SS 396.
Sweet.
I just loved the way that body looked. And
it's still a good looker.
Our senior trip, we came up from Emory to Arlington to the GM plant, and that was 1969 before we switched over to 70.
Yeah.
And we went to the GM plant, and they were making these. And we got to watch them test them out and everything. I just fell in love with them. I really did. I never did. After I got out of high school, I bought a 1970 Pontiac GTO 440.
Sweet.
Yeah. Instead of the Chevelle.
My first car was until recently, my first vehicle was my favorite. I bought and paid for it out of my own pocket. It was a 66 Comet Cyclone GT Mickey Thompson. Had the factory 390 with the police interceptors.
Look at you.
Yeah, it's black, white vinyl top, white leather interior, tuck and rolly, man. And that thing would scoot. I mean, it would get it. But it got caught in a flood in Houston.
Yeah.
My mom drove off a chimney rock down on the windswept. Boosh. So insurance covered it that time. Second time was sitting out in front of the same house on the curb, and all I could see was about that car.
Good gosh.
So I thought, well, hell, insurance wouldn't cover it. So a buddy of mine, old Mike, a good friend of mine, we used to work on cars and hot rod them a little bit. And rebuilt the engine in the car. And Dad was coming out. I just cranked it up. That son of a gun backfired and caught on fire on me. I'm talking big flame, like
Whoa.
from Hell's Gates flames on there.
Whoa.
Pop happened to walk out. He was tapping his pipe on the palm of his hand. Kind of looked at me and looked down, saw these flames coming up. My hood, the whole nose of that thing was fiberglass, the fenders and the hood, and it was just melting.
I can imagine.
Dad tapping his pipe and blew it out. Looked at me and said, "You boys get it fixed?" I said, "It's just idling now, Dad. You ought to see when I rev it up." He just shook his head and turned around and walked back in the house.
I love it.
But I think my all-time favorite vehicle is one I'm driving now.
Yeah.
Bought Jordan's little hot rod F350 Power Stroke, and I love that truck.
It's a beautiful truck. I'll give you that. Karen, was there a favorite car that you had?
The station wagon.
I didn't have a station wagon.
Oh,
I had a 1965 Volkswagen Beetle. That was
Old
my
bug.
favorite. That's because I could touch the pedals. And it was
you could
like
actually see over the
gear
steering wheel.
I could see over the steering wheel, yeah. So
Lord.
that we drove that car to death because we drove it back and forth between North Texas and
Yeah.
Houston,
Yeah.
Conroe, and Daddy just kind of buried it. It wasn't worth nothing. He
Wore
paid
it out.
$500 for it. Lasted us a good long time, 4 or 5 years.
Hey, those
I'll
are
be
good little
darned.
cars.
Yeah, they were.
The only
We even
thing you
learned
can't
how to
tell when
get
they're
it-
coming or
it would
going.
freeze up. You know, the engine would freeze up. We learned how to keep ice in the car and put ice on the back of it to undo it. Whatever you do to motors, and we would crank that sucker up. I mean, it didn't go fast, but
But it was yours.
it suited us just fine.
I
there
know
you
a guy that lived on Lake Conroe that had an old wore-out VW. I don't know what year it was, an old one. But he gutted it and turned it upside down and used it for a boat.
How about that?
Well, there you go.
yeah,
I
they
saw
will
that.
float.
I saw that,
They
yeah.
will float.
As
Yeah.
long as you got the windows rolled up tight.
Yeah, we had a floating Festiva one time.
Festiva.
Yeah.
What were those little cars like Maxwell Smart had that you could just drive off in the water and put.
Yeah,
Remember
I
those?
remember those. I do.
I can't remember even who made those. But
Well, you folks out there had some very interesting cars that you
Yeah.
fell in love with. That was your favorite. Toonie Ha Ha.
some sweet rides.
Yeah, said it for him. It was a 1967 Chevelle SS with a 327.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's my dream car right there. Bam.
Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Timothy Pettit said mine was a 66 Dodge Charger with a 383, and it was my first car. I miss it.
I bet he does.
Bet you do.
Susan Saunders said her dream car was a 1968 Chevy Camaro.
Another sweet car.
Another sweet one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Ron Baker said for him it was a 69 Toyota FJ.
I don't remember those.
I don't either.
Well, that's what he said, and I believe him. Barbara Whiteside Conley says, I had a 1962 Biscayne when I was in high school. I loved that car. It was a land yacht.
Yeah,
And if you
that was
hit
a
the
big car.
dashboard, you would have died. But it was a fun car. 3 on the tree, a 460, and air conditioning.
Hello.
If it had seat belts, I didn't know where they were.
You didn't have to wear the damn things back in.
No, not at all.
And my mom, up to her dying day, swore up and down that an old Rambler she used to have. It was a 57, had the fins, 57 Rambler, and you know what color she called it? Titty pink.
Titty pink.
Titty pink. 3 on the tree, straight 6, and it would jam in second gear, and we'd have to get out and use one of the little shorty Coke bottles to bang on the linkage while she jiggled it to get it loose.
That's funny.
That car took her everywhere.
I'll bet. I'll bet.
Let's see. Darla Walker said that she owned a 72 Chevy Nova with a straight 6 and column shift. I can't believe I sold it as junk in 85 because the engine threw a rod. It was a strong car, and I used to pull people out of ditches in Lubbock all the time. I also had a lot of great road trips in it.
I'll just bet you did, Darla.
72 Nova. I remember those well.
Oh, I do too. I do too, and those things would get up and book it.
No, those inline sixes were good engines.
Oh, absolutely.
You couldn't
Not a
win. You
doubt.
couldn't win no drag races with them, but they were strong little motors. Yeah.
Sandy Layla Armistead said, I had a 1966 Grand Prix. I stole it from my parents once when I was 12. I decided I was going to California, but I got caught in El Paso. I bought it from them a few years later, and that was one hot car.
Yeah, that was one of those long nose cars.
Yeah, if I remember right, I think you're exactly correct.
Yeah, that's a lot of car. A lot of car. Rudy Torres said, for me, it's a 73 Dodge Challenger.
A Dodge Challenger.
That's a
Those
sweet
things would
car.
get up and get them.
Yeah, they would.
Remember the Plymouth Roadrunners?
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother got one right after he got out of the military. And, boy, that thing would book it.
My dad, what transferred us from Lubbock, Amarillo back to Lubbock and into Houston was after Dad retired from the police department. He went to work for Car City Insurance, who was owned by Chrysler.
Right.
Every 52,000 miles, they'd give him a brand new company car. And I'm talking Roadrunners, Dodge Chargers, Coronet 440s.
Good Lord.
He even had a what was the Plymouth? What was it? Had the nose cone on it and the high fins on the back. I mean, everything he had.
Oh, I can't think of it.
440s in them and all that.
Oh, yeah.
He never would let me drive those for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's probably very smart.
Yeah.
I told you your dad was a smart man.
Yeah.
Philip Charles Day said for him it was a 1972 Dodge Charger when he was 16 years old.
Wow.
Can you imagine driving a Dodge Charger when you're 16?
Hello. Hello. Charles Hicks said this was easy. A 1968 Pontiac GTO with a 442. What style? That's a sweet
Yes,
car.
sir. It was a sweet car.
car. I like the 69s better than any of them, I think. So.
And finally, Daryl Riddle said it was my 2002 F-250 Super Duty.
By God.
It is absolutely the best truck I ever had. The last time I looked, there were 300,462 miles on it, and it still runs just like it did when I bought it in December of 2002. There's been very few wrenches on it, and I have put it through a lot of crap, believe me.
Well, I have a tendency to baby my big Ford. It's got the big, aggressive terrain tires, but that thing's never been off pavement since I've had it. I think Jordan's played in the mud a few times in it. But
I'll just bet he did.
Yeah.
That would be a safe bet.
Yeah.
You know, we appreciate all of the comments on your favorite cars. I just thought it would be kind of interesting to see what you thought your favorite auto of all time was.
Yeah.
And we also ask you folks whether you're going to be voting this year in person or by mail-in ballots.
Yeah.
And we'd like to share some of the comments that you made to us in your opinion.
Yeah.
James Graham says, I don't trust the mail, so I will vote in person.
By God.
Yeah.
Brian Emerton up in Tennessee says he's voting in person, and I'm voting all Republican.
There you go, Brian.
I kind of figured that.
Yeah. Darla Walker, Lino Torres, Christine Wiley, and Gerald Plunkett all said they will vote in person also.
Yeah. Beth Myers said she's not in favor of the mail-in voting unless you are ill, have a handicap, or something else that keeps you from voting. All other people need to cast their ballots in person at the polls unless you are early voting. There's too much fraud that can happen on Election Day, which is why President Trump is so against it.
Yep. I
And
agree
rightfully
there.
so.
And they found another stash of ballots.
Veteran ballots?
Somewhere in the ditch over the weekend. It was either Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, I think those are veteran ballots, weren't they?
I know the ones before that they found were. I just kind of caught a little bit of it as I was walking through the house and the TV was on. But
They're going to try anything they can get by with
my
to win
goodness.
the election.
And then there was a guy that has been arrested for voter fraud for requesting a mail-in ballot for his wife that passed away last year.
Go
And they
figure.
caught it. So there you go.
Figure.
Let's see, where are we at here?
Shirley.
Shirley Mills says we're allowed to vote by mail, but I'm really looking to vote in person. I want to be sure that my vote is counted.
And she finds out it's not, she'll be up there with a stick. Bob Baker said, I never vote by mail and I never vote early. I love the feel of the energy in the room on election day.
That's great. Cassie Terry said we have to do an absentee ballot this year since we're out of state. Susan Macaluso says she will vote in person and will be working the election also.
Well, see, that's something I wasn't aware of. I figured you could vote in any state as long as you're registered in the state you live in.
Well, you have to vote in the state that you're registered in.
Yeah. I never thought about that, Cass.
I did not know that.
But by God, she's going to vote.
She's voting. Yeah, buddy.
Boyd Palmore said he will be voting in person. Oh, that's Palmore, I'm sorry. Said he'll be voting in person. At least my vote has a chance to be counted.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
That boy. Sharon Pritchett, Timothy Pettit, Angie Bennett, and Ron Meyer said they will all be voting at the polls this year.
There you go.
Okay.
And Kelly Couch Gleason says in person, polling is half a mile away in the country. I'll take a picture of it. It's our community center also. Side note, I really wouldn't be afraid to mail it in. And I see these memes that say send 500 in cash in the mail to yourself. Well, I'd get it the next day, I'm sure. If I knew someone further that would send it back, I'd try it because I really would miss 500. Well, mail it to me and see if you get it back.
Mail it to me. I mean,
that's right. I need the money.
I think I've hit the lottery or something.
Right.
Daryl Riddle said, I'm getting old and can't stand up long due to needing back surgery. No. Sorry to hear that, Daryl.
Yeah.
I mailed my ballot over a week ago. I disappointed all of the Democrats on the ballot, so Daryl, I'm assuming you went all straight Republican. So.
Oh Lord. Yeah. Stan Sanders told Daryl Riddle if they don't like the way you vote and can tell by the barcode whether you vote straight Republican or Democrat, I don't trust mail-in ballots. Nor do I.
And he's not the only one, Pappy.
That's right.
That's for sure. And finally, Sherry Anderson, Nelda Pound Slater, Lisa Seeley, Billy J. Thomas, Joey Thiebaud, Joanne Bradley, Brandon Barr, Stan Sanders, Diana Kincannon, and Ginger Lynch all said they would cast their ballots in person.
There you go.
So it looks like the majority is going to be casting in person.
Yep.
Thank you for your comments.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the viewer comments we got in right quick. Pappy. Mary Lynn Thomas said she watched us talk about Trump's Supreme Court nominee. She said she just watched a lengthy news story on Judge Barrett, and she's convinced more than ever that she is the right choice. The woman has standards, morals, and knows the law. What more can you ask for?
And I agree wholeheartedly with you there, Mary Lynn. James 360 said on Twitter that Hunter Biden ought to have the book thrown at him and his dad too. I guarantee if you or I was alleged to have done all the things he's been accused of and the evidence is as staggering as they say, we wouldn't see the light of day from being in jail.
George, you're right, James.
Yep.
Mason Wills said for us to be watching the silent majority who have been pushed about just about enough.
Yep.
I guarantee you that the outcome is not going to be pretty.
It's not going to be good for the visiting team, by God.
No, sir. They will not.
Elliot Bonner said that the show on video games endangering our kids' minds opened his eyes. It even caused an argument with my daughter when I mentioned my grandkids were playing too many video games. She didn't know half of what they were playing, but didn't want to admit it.
Yeah, so there you go. And I think a lot of parents are
generally
guilty
the
of
case.
that. Yeah. We've enjoyed today's show. Coming up on Wednesday, we'll have another segment show for you.
Yeah.
We invite you to go on to our Facebook account, Grandpa-N-Pappy, and answer some of the questions that have been submitted to us by you, our viewers, and boy, we appreciate that so much.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And we'll try to get those answers for you.
Yeah.
In the meantime, if you have something you want to suggest or a comment you want to make, it's very easy. Just go on our Gmail account and send it in to Grandpa-N-Pappy at gmail.com.
Yeah.
Very simple.
Yeah.
Or
you can hit us up directly on our website page at www.grandpa-and-pappy, that's grandpa and the letter N-pappy.com.
that's correct.
Where you'll see a big red button just like that one pop up, and feel free to push it and subscribe. We like to think we work by numbers. You can also leave comments, remarks, complaints, anything you want to say. We read them all.
Oh, and the Instagram that I got asking me what I thought about the Longhorns this year, I think they are in for big trouble unless they get their defense fixed. So there's my answer to you.
I had to bribe somebody to ask you that.
Yeah, well, somebody did, and I felt I had to answer it. But anyway, still love them.
She got a shot of tequila over that, by the way.
I still love them, though. Yeah. So anyway, we hope you'll join us back on Wednesday.
Yes,
until then, we tell you always to hug your kids and let them know you love them.
And tell them we love them right here on the Grandpa-N-Pappy Show, by God.
Absolutely. So until Wednesday, Pappy and I will see you then. Yeah. We hope you are safe, and God bless.
Take care of one another.
See ya.
Later.
Bye-bye.